Argumentation Ethics and the Problem with Children. Argumentation ethics, associated most prominently with Hans Hermann Hoppe, claims to derive libertarian self-ownership and property rights from the very act of engaging in argument. According to this view, any participant in discourse must already presuppose self-ownership, non-aggression, and the right to exclusive control of their body. Otherwise, they fall into a performative contradiction by using their body to argue against the right to use one's body. The promise of this theory is grand, that libertarian ethics are logically unavoidable because the conditions for disputing them already rely on them. Yet this promise collapses immediately when confronted with a simple empirical category: children. The problem of children exposes the structural fragility of argumentation ethics. Because its logical chain presumes fully rational, autonomous disputants with stable agency, long-term reasoning capacity, and the ability to bear responsibility for their choices. Children, however, routinely engage in argument without possessing any of these qualities. They negotiate, dispute, plead, bargain, and attempt to persuade, all while lacking the legal, economic, and cognitive agency that AE insists is a prerequisite for meaningful argumentation. If a toddler can argue with a parent, AE faces a dilemma. Either the child is a genuine participant in argument, in which case AE is forced to treat the child as a fully self-owning moral agent capable of binding decisions and obligations. Or AE must claim that children do not really argue, which collapses under the weight of observable behavior and developmental psychology. The first horn of this dilemma leads to absurdity. Treating children as fully self-owning agents would mean that a 3-year-old could refuse medical care, sign binding agreements, purchase dangerous goods, or dissolve custodial authority simply by uttering an argument. No legal system, biological system, or game theoretic model treats children this way, because doing so is evolutionarily and economically catastrophic. The second horn is no better. To deny that children argue is to deny plain reality. Their arguments may be primitive, but they are still arguments, attempts to persuade through language. This renders AE's foundational premise, that argument presupposes full agency, empirically unsound. This difficulty reveals a deeper conceptual flaw. AE conflates the act of argumentation with the possession of adult moral and cognitive agency. It mistakenly treats argument as a metaphysical gateway to rights, rather than as an evolutionary communication strategy used by individuals across different stages of development. In actual biological and economic systems, argumentation is not a sign of rights. It is a signaling mechanism that evolves long before full agency emerges. Children use argument not because they implicitly accept self-ownership or non-aggression, but because argument is a fitness-enhancing strategy within parent-offspring conflict. AE's leap from argument exists to therefore libertarian rights follow cannot survive this fact. If argument can be performed by agents who do not possess self-ownership, then argument cannot possibly presuppose self-ownership. The parental authority problem further highlights the contradiction. Under any workable moral or economic system, evolutionary, utilitarian, common law, or even the most libertarian legal codes, parents must override children's preferences. Feeding, protecting, restricting, educating, disciplining, and guiding children all require actions that, under AE, would constitute aggression. Yet such actions are universally recognized as necessary, not only for the child's survival, but for the survival of the society that raises them. AE therefore forces one of two incoherent outcomes. Either parents must abstain from these actions in the name of the non-aggression principle, which results in a disastrously unstable and non-functional society,